We're going to start out with our little micro tube and a clear hook guide. Based on the size you're tying will be based on the hook guide you use. I'm using a large, but a medium will work just fine. And first thing of order is we have to cut it back just a little bit, because what I don't want when we're fishing is for the hook guide to curve around the hook. And so I'm using a Gamakatsu C14S. This is a 6. And so first order of business is I'm going to whack this hook guide a little bit and just make sure that it's fully butted up against the nanotube here, or micro tube, and it can't go in any more, and so it doesn't curl on you. Because in the act of casting, you don't want this thing to foul up on you. So go and put your micro tube, clear micro tube, and hook guide on. Start my thread up here. Somewhere in the top region. Like I say, it just all depends on how big you want this fly. I'll go a little bigger. I'll make this one a tiny bit bigger here. And so the body is going to be Mirage tinsel, and this is large. And before I put that on, I'm just going to run a quick thread base here just to give it something to kind of stick to a little better. Tie that in pretty good, and then just make a tinsel body all the way down. Come back up with it. Okay. Oops. Trying to let go of it. And right about now, everybody's saying, you have a Nor vise, why don't you just spin the vise instead? And normally I would, but I took off the bobbin holder because I was tying really big flies and I just haven't put it back on yet, but otherwise I would. For this step, and I want to show you something, I'm going to use 2 different UV resins here. One Loon and one Pro, and there's reasons for it, and I'll explain that as we go, but under normal UV light you can see that this doesn't really have a lot of brightness at all, and so the body I want to glow, so I'm going to put on the Loon fluorescing UV and just kind of slop it on there. Take my bodkin here and just kind of spread it out evenly through the whole body, and you're going to see here in a second why this stuff is just really cool, because it will just make this thing glow. I'll try to spin it here, get her nice and even. There we go. Hit it, and that'll cure it immediately to stop it from running, and now I can wait my 15 seconds or whatever. But I don't know if you can see this glow it has now very well, but this thing is just absolutely lighting up under the UV light. Alright, that's pretty good there. So we're all cured up. First thing I'm going to do here is I've got 2 badger hackles, and these are actually out of a neck. The saddles are a little too thin. You can see how long fibered these are. These are pretty big, so these are from the rear of a neck, because I want the thicker stem and I want these long fibers. So I'm going to pick a point here on both of them. I'm just going to whack the tip off and create a V. And I'll try to even. At this point, we don't have to be too crazy about getting them exactly even, but we might as well do our best here. Alright, so we're evened up. And I need to pick a tail point and then a body point. So that looks pretty good right there. So I'm going to pull this back here and let's see. Alright, that's pretty good. So you just don't want, you want your tail to look like a tail, not necessarily a bunch of hackle. So that's going to be my tail, and I will match this up on both identical. So match up the V's here, and then I'm going to pull the hackle back on both. Alright, so that's good. So now we got a match set. You can see that here. I'm going to figure out where they're getting tied in at. And so what I'm doing is I'm going to start the tail at the end of my tube. And so I've got a tie in point of right there. So I'm going to strip down to the stem. And if you don't get this kind of right, it won't turn out as clean as it could, and you'll have fibers kind of just out there, and it's just a lot easier to have some, you know, be fairly precisionist about this at the moment. And I just lost my tail on this one. Okay, so redo here. Alright, got it back. So from here, I'm going to cut a tapered body on the badger, meaning I'm going to go close to the stem, so we have a tapered fish looking body. I'm going to do that on both of them. So I've matched my bodies here. You can see they're looking pretty good there. So I'm going to tie in one side first, loosely, so I can move it as I need to. I'm going to take some of the Pro UV resin Thin Flex, and I'm going to put it over my hackle so it penetrates through. Make sure to close the lid before you cure it. Push it down. With my forefinger so it's touching the body, hit it real fast, and you should be able to let it go and finish the cure. About 15 seconds. Now an important step here is, and this is a really important step, if you get any on your fingers, it's going to hurt really bad when it cures. So you want to avoid getting it on your fingers and curing on your fingers, because it heats up really hot and it takes quite a while for it to cool back down. And you'll know immediately if you get some on you, so just be really careful of that. Okay, And so what I've done is I've just basically used the UV to glue it to the side of the body. So I'm going to do this to the same, do the same thing on the other side. And you can see why we're making light wraps, because there will be some adjustments here. Okay, that looks pretty good there. Lost it. Yep, that's the problem. There. Try that again. Alright, so we're all glued up here. Go ahead and make some kind of tighter finishing wraps. And we'll clip this off. Next step is we're going to add our first little kind of baitfish head here. So I'll start on the top with some tan laser dub. We don't need a lot, but the top I'm going to make fairly long here. You know, something like right in that range there. So where it almost touches the tail. Like we're just past where the tail, where the full feather on the badger is. So I'm just going to come in, make 2 wraps, because that way when I flip it over, it'll just be 1 wrap. And a lot less here, I'm going to do tan. 2 wraps. Now it's 1 wrap. Okay, really crank it down, give it a couple good wraps. Pull it back, move my thread through. Kind of give her a pinch. Tie it in. Okay. And you can give it a little comb real quick just to kind of see where you're at. So it's a good idea as you go to comb this, because you're going to lose some dubbing in the comb out. You know, it never ties in as much as you're actually going to stay on the fly. So not a bad idea to just kind of see where you're at here. So looking pretty good. So now for my little pectoral fins, I'm going to take a couple Hungarian partridge feathers and I'm taking them from the side. You can run brown if you want. I'm just going gray. The brown would actually have a pretty good little contrast in there as well. And strip away the fluff, and then you can kind of see where you're at. So that's still pretty big. Let's see where we're at there. That's going to be good. So I'll match these up. Okay. Go straight up top. Tie it in. straight up top. Tie it in. I'm going to pinch them to the body and give them good securing wraps. Alright. Doesn't have to be perfect. Probably won't be. If you really want to spend a lot of time, you can make it perfect, but I'm not going to spend that much time today. So, I'm going to clip off the stems here. Get my second batch of gray ready, and if you've noticed, I mean, this is really sparse. I don't know if you can see how transparent that is. I might get a little more pinch, but we don't need a lot because we are doubling it over. Alright, 2 wrapper, now it's 1. Same with tan. Alright, give it a good, nice securing wrap there. Fold it back, and then before I fold my gray back, I'm just going to get a little pinch of red ice dub. Put that in there. 3 wraps. Now it's 2. I'm going to pull real tight. And get it all kind of secured up there. Okay, so at this point, we're going to whip finish. Try to make my head small here. And the ice dub, I'm going to trim way down. Try to get it all. Okay. Get comb out here. You can see that it's all tangled up in there. There we go. Cool. Alright. Time for some eyes. 8mm Pro Cool Eyes. Stick one there. This is the yellow color. Alright, so first order of business is to get these eyes stuck on. And the reason I'm using the Pro for this is because it's a lot more flexible. Alright, I'm going to cure this first. Alright, flip her over. Okay, so we don't need a hard cure on that, not like a finishing cure, because we got more to do here. So I'm going to take it and just hit the head. Get the head how I want it. Hit that. Alright, now I'm going to mark it up here, and instead of doing a cure and then marking over the cure and then re-curing, a lot of the UVs will run, permanent markers will run on you if you do it over a cure. It's not like epoxy, and epoxy even will a little bit, so I like to mark them first and then cure over that. And I probably should have marked this first up top, but we'll deal with it. Alright. Give it a little blow to help her dry. We'll do the bottom first here to make sure we can give that time to dry as well. So I'm going to just run some UV cure. Not all the way back, but just kind of to shape this head part. And I'm just barely squeezing it out and kind of putting it where I want it. And now I can take my bodkin here and just kind of sweep everything back. Alright, we'll do the same on the top. Again, we're not going the whole length, just mostly the head to retain shape. And it ran on me a little bit, but it's livable. Okay, pull it, make sure it's the shape I want it before I hit it, because once you hit it, it stays that way. Alright, so now I'm going to just kind of slowly use basically a rotisserie feature here and just get it everything nice and solidified. And if there's something I don't like, I mean, I can smooth it out. You can do another coat. Like I'm going to do one more coat on top here. Alright, now, last but not least, I get these little sterile alcohol prep pads. I get them at Walgreens for like few bucks for like a pack of 200, and they work really good for wiping down with alcohol the UV, and that'll take out any tack that there is residual, and it will also let you know if you have any cuts on your fingers. And so I recommend, if you are a fishing guide and you like this fly, that you tie a whole bunch of them before your season really gets started, because it will hurt very badly come mid-season when you've got a million cuts on your hands. Okay, almost done. So right now is a good time to clip. Give it a little burn. Alright, we can rerun it through to make sure it's open. Okay. Now I'm going to go backwards here. Move this over. And we're going to kind of marry these two badger feathers so we don't have two tails. And so I'm just going to take a little bit of the Pro again because it's flexible. And just put it right on the very end of one of the feathers. Stick them together and hit it. And I might need just a little more right on the end there. Okay, so now to rig it, you just put your hook in between the badger feathers. And it's totally incorporated into your little baitfish there.